My name is Isabelle, and my world was built of glass and steel. As a high-powered CEO in the city, my days were defined by boardrooms, deadlines, and the constant, relentless hum of a multi-million-euro company. I was successful, yes, but also perpetually tired, isolated, and increasingly numb to anything outside the corporate grind. My car, a sleek black machine, was just an expensive extension of my office. It was on a rare, stress-induced drive through the open countryside that my carefully constructed world literally ground to a halt. The car sat awkwardly on the roadside, tilted, one rear wheel flat against the dirt. Steam puffed gently from the bonnet. I was elegant and visibly agitated, my sharp blazer and heels completely unsuited for the gravel. Worse, my phone was useless. No signal, no help, just silence. I was furious at the inconvenience, furious at the world, and utterly helpless. Then, a figure appeared in the fading light. A young man on a bicycle, which squeaked under the weight of an old basket. This was Luca. He was 24, but worry had already creased his brow. He was cycling home, his basket holding bread and soup for his ailing grandmother. He was a college dropout, a gardener, dishwasher, and delivery boy. Whatever paid. To me, in my frustration, he was simply a poor boy on a bike. I saw his dusty clothes and rough hands and immediately assumed he was either dangerous or asking for money. "Everything all right, miss?" he asked. I was guarded. "Flat tire, no signal." "Not all right." He didn't offer advice. He simply leaned his bike against a tree. "Mind if I take a look?" I hesitated, skeptical of this roadside stranger. But what choice did I have? "You know what you're doing?" "Enough to help," he replied with a small, quiet smile. As he knelt by the wheel, his hands moved with a methodical, practiced skill that was entirely unexpected. I watched him quietly, methodically, his brow gathering sweat. I found myself breaking my own rule, engaging in small talk. "Where are you headed?" "Home. Finished a few deliveries." I learned he didn't work for a company. He just helped around, fixing things, delivering groceries, whatever paid. He shrugged off my question about money with genuine humility. Helps keep food on the table. In less than 20 minutes, the spare was mounted. When the work was done, I stared at the car, then back at him. "You don't want anything?" I asked, reaching for my wallet. He chuckled softly, a sound of genuine lightness. I didn't stop for money. We stood in silence, two people from opposite worlds, briefly bound by a broken tire and unexpected grace. I managed only his name, Luca, and a simple "thank you." He nodded once, got on his bike and pedaled off into the fading light, leaving me holding my wallet, completely unsettled. The drive back to the city was a blur. My mind kept returning to that remote road. Luca had seen me not as a CEO or a title, but simply as a person in need of help, and he had answered with no expectation of return. That kind of selfless decency, I realized with a jolt, had vanished from my world years ago, buried under the weight of ambition and competitive drive. The next morning, back in my office of glass and light, I found a note I had half absent-mindedly scribbled, "Find Luca." I tasked my assistant with the impossible. Locate a boy named Luca who delivered food in a general, undefined countryside area. I knew it was absurd, but a part of me, a part that had grown numb, had been awakened by his kindness. I needed to find him. After 2 days of relentless digging, my assistant returned with a fragile thread of hope. A grocer in the region confirmed a boy named Luca delivered food and helped with chores, describing him perfectly. "Get me an address," I commanded, my heart skipping unexpectedly. I didn't know what I was going to say, only that his act had struck a chord. I had spent years dealing with million-euro deals, but this simple act of grace felt like the most important negotiation of my life. I found him a small house, far from the rush of the city. He was sweeping leaves outside a neighbor's gate. When I called his name, he turned, broom in hand, recognizing my face instantly. "Madam?" he asked, unsure. "I'm sorry to show up like this," I said, a rare note of genuine nervousness in my voice. I came because I didn't get a chance to thank you properly." He was surprised, but listened as I spoke from the heart. "I haven't been able to forget what you did," I confessed. "Not just fixing the tire, but how you did it, without judgment, without expectations. That's rare where I come from." I saw his modesty, his worn shoes, and I asked him the pivotal question. "If you had the choice, what would you really want to do?" He hesitated, trapped in survival mode. "I don't know if it matters. Dreams don't pay bills." That's when I extended my hand and offered him an envelope. It wasn't charity. I didn't believe in that. It was an invitation, a formal offer for an apprenticeship in my company's growing department, focused on innovation and community initiatives. We needed minds who understood struggle, who saw the world through unpolished lenses. He took the envelope, and I gave him the final, honest message. "You saw me as a person when I needed help. I see you the same way. Let's build something good together." 2 mornings later, Luca stood outside our towering glass headquarters, terrified but determined. He was nervous, wearing his best shirt, but he kept his head high. I welcomed him warmly, telling him, "It's not charity. I believe in potential. You have it. I saw it the moment you knelt by that tire and never asked for a thing." I needed his perspective, his humility, to shape our ideas and ensure they were grounded in reality. The weeks that followed were a challenge for him, filled with confusing corporate acronyms and endless procedures. But Luca stayed late, asked questions, and slowly, his honest, grounded perspective began to shine through. In a strategy meeting about community engagement, when people were talking about funnels and alignment, Luca simply cleared his throat and said, "If you want them to care, speak from where it hurts, not just where it looks good." The room went silent, and then erupted in agreement. I realized I had invited him to change the company, but he had ended up changing me. A year passed. Luca, no longer the boy on the bike, stood on a stage addressing a packed audience. He spoke about his journey, thanking me for seeing something he didn't see in himself. His grandmother was beaming in the front row, and I sat beside her, radiating pride. That night, the 3 of us drove out of the city, back to the winding road, and pulled over at the exact spot where the car had broken down. As the quiet breeze brushed our coats, I placed a small, custom keyring shaped like a tire in Luca's hand. Engraved on it were 4 words that summarized everything. "One good turn changes everything." He looked at the quiet landscape, then at me. "It really does, doesn't it?" he whispered. We had come full circle, finding purpose, grace, and connection not through ambition or money, but through the undeniable, life-altering power of a single act of kindness returned tenfold.